Hello, hello. Welcome to the Enquiry podcast. This is a show that helps you to influence your reality to the greatest capacity in order to be able to use your life as the medicine that it is, to be able to know how to read the signposts and follow the breadcrumbs in order to express the fullness of who you are and what you're actually here for. I'm your host, Nerida Mills. I am a master psychosomatic practitioner, coach and facilitator, and it is my absolute pleasure to have you here. Welcome on board and let's get started. Welcome to episode 3. My name is Nerida and it is absolutely lovely to have you joining me again. Today I want to talk about a very, something that I'm very, very passionate about. Very passionate about it. The reason that I'm passionate about it is because I think that A, there's a lot of misunderstanding around it, and B, there's a lot of missed opportunity around it. And that is the beautiful, wonderful word called responsibility. Responsibility is often misconstrued and it's often felt as a victimization. So one of the elements of the journey that I've been on is really developing and understanding my responsibility, my relationship with responsibility. So in my head, I had for many years a willingness to influence. I had a desire to influence. And I also had a deep repelling against anything that I felt was habitual, was going to make me bogged down or, other people's expectations, things like that. It just it freaked me the fuck out, honestly. I couldn't even say the word routine for a good couple of years because the idea of routine to me meant the grind. It meant ball and chain. It meant, there's just even now, thinking back to how I felt then, my whole body just goes, I've always kind of seen myself as a free spirit, quite transient in nature, and could definitely be a gypsy quite happily. So, routine is quite adversarial to that, or at least I thought. And, where this hooks into responsibility is our ability to respond, and also understanding that there is no victimization in responsibility. There's only power. The beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing about responsibility is that it really does give you the most amount of influence in your life. It's not a burden. It's not the weight that we perceive it to be, but it is the avenue to freedom. And so can be routines. Now, the reason that I'm comparing the two is because my relationship to both of them was quite detrimental for many years. And as I was developing one, the other kind of developed along with it, because the more that you understand that your ability to respond is where your responsibility lies, the more that you want to create the consistent patterns in your life, call them rituals or routines or habits or whatever the heck you want to, but that makes the ability to respond as automatic as possible, right? It takes away the weight from what can feel like a burden or can feel like pressure from others, right? And, it can be very challenging because when you look around in your environment, and particularly, let's say, if you're having an issue in a dynamic within your relationship or with another human being, and you can see something that needs to be shifted and changed, and you know that you've got a capacity for it, but, over and over and over again, you've been the one, right? You've been the one to start the conversation. You've been the one to ask for the change. You've been the one to whatever. Where the victimization comes in is through a little bit of the story within that, but also it comes through the repetitiveness of it. It's, we do hit a point, I think, in all avenues of expression, we hit a point of exhaustion from being in the same, right? And so what happens is we try and respond to our environment in a certain way, and then we try again in the same way, and we try again in the same way, and we try again in the same way. And so all of a sudden we get fatigued about being the person who responds. And so then we try and react. And it doesn't really work very well. So what life is actually calling from you through that is, adjusting how you're responding. I know it sounds really, really simple, but that's where your ability to respond actually is, in the adjustment of how you're showing up. You don't have an ability to respond if you're stuck in one gear, right? If we're stuck doing the same thing the same way every single time, whenever this conflict happens, and you say this and I say that. And, even though I can be righteous around I'm saying it nicer than you're saying it, if I'm still saying it the same way and I'm still getting the same outcome, am I actually really taking responsibility? I don't think so. I think I'm actually at that point just playing victim to the circumstance, playing victim to the situation. So our responsibility really does come from an ability to adjust our behavior. And where routines, habits, and rituals kind of come into this as well is looking at what are the rituals, routines, and habits that we have in our life right now, and what outcomes are they getting, and what responsibility or what ability to respond to those things or adjust those things do I have in order to change the outcomes that I'm getting. Because if anything, over time, what I've learned about life is that it's way simpler than what we think it is. In fact, as soon as you're moving into a space of complexity around life, you're off the point. Life is actually really fucking simple. So the more we can bring it back to that fundamental, like, what do I actually want here? And what's the most likely way of getting that outcome? Then we're on track. Then we're actually moving towards something. And do I have an ability to change gears between the way that I express or the way that I communicate in order to adjust that outcome? There is a really beautiful model, I'll go into it next episode, called the 4R models that worked perfectly into this conversation. So I will leave it there today, but know that we're going to keep on talking about this and keep on giving you the tools and the resources or resourcefulness within you to be able to access that shifting gear mode and to be able to really steer your car or your ship or whatever metaphor you want to use in the direction of the life that it is that you're here to live, which is a full expression of who you are. Okay, gorgeous humans, I will speak to you soon. So that's it from us. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode. I would like to really acknowledge you for spending the time to explore what creates your reality and how you can influence it best. If you have absolutely loved this episode and the ones before it, then I highly encourage that you jump onto my newsletter list. You'll be able to find the details of that in the show notes. You can also follow me on Facebook or Instagram at Nerida Mills. Really, really, really looking forward to speaking with you again soon. If you have any comments, insights, feedback, anything that you would like to share from these episodes, please feel free to email me at info@neridamills.com. Until next time.